Hello students, I would like to welcome you all to our series of data analytics in which basically we are going to study about Hadoop and RDBMS. In our previous lecture we have already seen what is Hadoop and basically why we are using. How it actually comes into existence, that portion we have already covered. In today's lecture we would be seeing about why only Hadoop, why not the traditional system which we were earlier using for big data analytics. Then we will compare it with RDBMS, that is relational database system, which we were using until now. Then gradually we'll move on to the topic MapReduce, which I have given you a rough idea with an example of Cook. I hope you guys could recollect what was the exact example and how it was using MapReduce concept. So in this lecture we would be starting with the Hadoop, that why actually we are using Hadoop. So until yet in every lecture we have seen that we are working on Hadoop for big data analytics, and basically we are, you can say, gradually we are moving over to the Hadoop platform, and each and every task we are performing, if we are talking about any big data analytics, we are performing on Hadoop. So there are some factors, there are some application areas which are required for Hadoop, or you can say which are contributing or making Hadoop more popular and more convenient to use. So what are the factors why we are why we are getting involved in Hadoop, or what are the factors which are motivating us to use Hadoop? So Hadoop basically, if we are talking about Hadoop, there are many factors like as shown in figure. Reliability, flexibility, cost effectiveness, scalability, high availability, unlimited data storage, which is a very important factor which is motivating us to use to work on Hadoop. Unlimited computing power, the second most important factor. Cloud support. Now what are these factors and what does it mean, how they are helping us, and how they are helping Hadoop to become more popular and most in demand. So we'll start with computing power. Now we all know that Hadoop is based on distributed computing model, right? Now this computing model is one which basically process very large amount of data, and it process large amount of data very quickly also. So the more number of nodes, the more would be the computing power. We have already seen in Hadoop structure that we have data nodes, we have name nodes. So as we increase the number of nodes, the computing power or the processing power also increases. So number of nodes is not going to impact on the performance of the Hadoop. So this is the most important factor why Hadoop is becoming popular, because as you are increasing the data, as the data increases, the number of nodes increases. As the number of nodes increases, automatically the computing and the processing power increases. So it is not the case that if we increase the number of nodes, the performance of Hadoop will degrade. So it is actually vice versa. So hence computing power is the most important factor which is attracting us, or which is motivating all the users to use Hadoop platform. Next is the scalability. Now scalability is the term which simply boils down by adding nodes as the system grows and requires much less administration. That is, scalability means it is very easy for the user to add number of nodes if the data increases. For example, if my data goes on increasing on daily basis, obviously I need to increase the number of nodes, because by increasing the number of nodes I would be able to actually perform my task or get the output or perform the data analytics part. So by increasing the number of nodes, though number of nodes is increasing, we require less administration. So it is the very important part, that is scalability. Coming on to the storage flexibility. Now unlike in traditional database, in Hadoop what we are doing, in Hadoop data needs to be pre-processed before storing it. So this is the part which we can say that the storage is flexible. How it is flexible? Hadoop provides the convenience of storing as much data as one needs, and also the added flexibility of detecting the data as to how how to store the data. What I mean to say is the every data in Hadoop needs to be stored. So in Hadoop it is very easy, since the data storage flexibility is there. We can increase the storage. As the data increases, we can increase the storage part by adding number of nodes. Hence storing the structured data and the unstructured data, both the type of data can be stored very easily, because we can increase the storage as on demand. So the storage is also storage space is also not wasted, and we can say that any type of data can be stored, either it be unstructured, semi-structured or structured data. Coming on to the next important feature, which is data protection. Hadoop protects data and executing applications against hardware failure. Now this is the task which the Hadoop does very efficiently. That is, if the any node data gets, if any nodes get failed, or if any nodes get corrupted, it will redirect data to the other node. So the user can extract the data from the other node easily, and it is possible for the user to get the data in spite of waiting for the node to get recover, or waiting for the node to get access. The user can access its data from any other node. So data protection is there. Data is copied in 2 or 3 nodes. With this part we have already seen that data is how we can store the data in three different nodes, and whenever we want any particular data, and if suppose our first node is not working or is being corrupted, the user can extract this important information from the other nodes as well. So this is a very important factor, data protection, because nowadays everyone wants our data to be very protected, and whenever the user wants to retrieve the data, the data should be available at any time, at any place. So next one is unlimited data storage. Hadoop can store large amount of data, that we have already seen that any type of data, either it be structured, unstructured or semi-structured data, or any amount of data can be stored in Hadoop. Hence we are using Hadoop. Otherwise earlier we were using a traditional relational database, but now as the number of data is getting increased, so it is easy for us to basically store any amount of data in Hadoop. Next we can see cost effective. Since how it is cost effective, because whenever we want to access or we want to increase our data, we would be adding more nodes. So depending upon the requirement we are doing, and the storage is also not wasted, because this concept I had already taught when we basically studied the Hadoop structure. In that we saw how the data is using, or data gets stored in Hadoop nodes, and how it is actually utilizing the storage space. So in that manner it is cost effective also. So these are some of the factors which are contributing in popularity of Hadoop, you can say, or you can say these are the factors which are motivating or helping us to actually divert or motivate us to actually use or work on Hadoop structure. Coming on to why not DBMS. Now this we have already discussed in our previous lectures when we started studying Hadoop, that what is DBMS, and till yet we were more convenient, and we were more prone to use DBMS, because we know how to write queries, we know how to extract data from the database. So this portion I think we have studied thoroughly, that is DBMS. This topic, this subject you were all having in your previous semesters also. So until yet we know how to use database, how to access database, how to write database queries, but suddenly we are moving from RDBMS to Hadoop. Why? Because the rise in data generation, rise in data evaluation basically push users to use or to switch from RDBMS to Hadoop. So if we are not using RDBMS, if we are moving towards Hadoop, it should be clear in everybody's mind, or it should be clear to us, that why not RDBMS. We have just seen why Hadoop. So these were the factors which we saw which basically motivate us to use or work on Hadoop platform. But why not RDBMS? What are the factors, or what are the loopholes of RDBMS, due to which we are moving over to Hadoop. So if we are talking about RDBMS, we all know that RDBMS is not suitable for storing and processing large amount of files, images and videos. Since earlier data were not generated in large amount, nowadays we are dealing with big data, because data is generated on a daily basis and in a large amount also. We were not having image and video files in a large amount in previously, but now video files we have in huge amount of even images we have in huge amount. So RDBMS is not suitable for storing these kinds of files. And when we are talking about RDBMS, so we can say that it is not a good choice when it comes to advanced analytics, like if we want to analyze our data, if we want to analyze the data using different machine algorithms, using different artificial algorithms, using different IoT based algorithms, then it is not possible for us to do any kind of analytics if we are working on RDBMS. So it would be more convenient to use Hadoop for this purpose. So there are some differences between RDBMS and Hadoop. And what are the differences? RDBMS, we all know that it uses a relational database management system, whereas in Hadoop also we have seen the structure. It is a node based flat structure on which different nodes are created, and depending upon the data we can add or delete our nodes. So I hope you could recollect the difference between the two. Node structure, Hadoop structure we have already seen, and RDBMS structure you might be knowing what is RDBMS and how it basically data can get stored in database, and how you can extract data from the queries in database. Now the next difference is RDBMS is suitable only for structured data. Whenever we want to store any data, it uses a table format. You all know that whenever we need to store any data in our database, the database should be in structured format. We can't store any data in any format. That has to be structured. Whereas in case of Hadoop, it is suitable for unstructured data also, which is a very add-on advantage for the user, because we are getting data from several sources. We are getting, if for example, if I am analyzing any particular data, I may get data from the external sources also. I may get data from the internal sources. I may retrieve data from different websites, from Facebook, from Insta, and from any other official website also. So it is not the case that since I am getting data from different sources, it may happen that I may get the data which is unstructured. So that unstructured data also I need to be processed. I need to analyze that unstructured data also. So Hadoop is the platform which is suitable for unstructured data also, and ultimately it is contributing for better results and for better analysis. Next is, if we are talking about RDBMS, it needs expensive hardware, which is ultimately contributing for cost. And it will basically it will increase my finances also. Whereas Hadoop requires only a processor, a network card and hardware drives, and its maintenance is also very easy. So if we talk about maintenance and implementation, RDBMS is more expensive if we talk about implementation, and Hadoop is more cost effective if we talk about implementation, or if we talk about its maintenance. So I hope these are the factors, or these are the main points which distinguishes RDBMS from Hadoop, and it is making Hadoop a more convenient platform for users to use. Hence we are moving ahead towards Hadoop for big data analytics. Now coming on to the last topic of this session, that is MapReduce. Now this concept we have already studied, but I am just going to brush up your concepts. MapReduce is nothing but it is a programming framework that allows us to perform distributed and parallel processing on large data sets in a distributed environment. The diagram you can see, and it is very easy to understand from this particular diagram, that whatever the data we are getting, which is known as big data nowadays, that is distributed. You can see the blocks named as map. What map is going to do, the mapper or the map function or the mapper you can say is going to perform the task in a distributed manner. First map block will perform its task, second will perform its task given to it, third will perform the task given to the third block, and so on. So ultimately what we are doing, we are distributing our task to different map blocks. After distributing the task to different map blocks, it is basically we need to execute those tasks. So what we are doing, we are executing all the tasks given to all the 5 map blocks. Now when we have distributed this task to the 5 blocks, all the 5 blocks are executing those tasks. So what basically they are performing a parallel execution. Hence it is known as distributed and parallel processing, because in first step we are distributing our task and simultaneously the task is being executed, or you can say parallelly the task is being processing. Hence the term MapReduce, what it is doing, it is basically dividing or distributing the task and executing it parallelly so that it can be executed. Coming on to the reduce part, what reduce is doing, reduce is just combining the results from different map and it is giving the output. So reducing means it is finally taking the answers or taking the results from different map blocks and it is merging the result, or it is combining the result, and finally it is giving the result as an output. Now this particular diagram we have seen in the Cook example in our first unit. I hope you guys could recollect. If you have forgotten that particular example, I would request you all to please go through that video of mine, and it would be pretty easy for you to understand that what is map, what is reduce, and how data is being distributed and it is being executed parallelly. So that example would be better for you to understand, and it would help you in exams also. If this kind of question arises of MapReduce, you can give that particular example in paper and it would be easier for you to explain your concept, and it would be easier for the examiner also to understand your concept. So see you all in our next lecture, in which basically we would be continuing our topic of our 4th unit, and we will see what are different concepts which we are going to study in Hadoop. Thank you.